Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. And in today's video, we have two more big stories and one small story at the end. So sit comfortably and let's get started. Apparently, young people can be toxic too. I'm relatively new to Reddit and on mobile, also not an English native, sorry for all that. So my job is to design and plan all the lighting for events, from stage design itself to simple functional lighting, mostly on festivals, sometimes on indoor events. I'm a freelance technician/designer, and I usually work for the organizers of the event, hand in hand with the company supplying the technology and crew. The organizers do about 6 festivals each year. And always get the same contractors to do stuff because they're very reliable. At the festival, I'm just managing and organizing because the planning and designing happened months before. So my job is just checking to see the crew is doing their job and to respond and find solutions when there are some F-ups. I'd guess every one of you had to use technology and it died in the worst moment. So I've got some work to do. One of the festivals is just a few kilometers away from the town I grew up in, so it's a bit of a tradition that everyone you know from your childhood meets up there. When it's slow, I'm allowed to visit them at their campsite, but I have to carry my belt with all the radios with me all the time to make sure that they can reach me if some device dies. I have about 3 to 4 separate radios with me to be able to respond to different people at the same time. The radios are pretty new and allow stuff like tracking of other devices, creating temporary private channels with any other radio, and other useful stuff for events with 1,000+ people working. So I was sitting next to my friends at the campsite, drinking some water while they were drinking beer. What else? Me is me, A is angry girl, maybe a bit drunk, S is shift leader of the people helping the guests. A taps me on the shoulder. Me. Hey, do I know you? Where's the store for some food, she asks. I'm really sorry, but I work as a technician. I have no idea where the stuff for visitors is, but right there's the information booth where you can get some help. Why do you have radios when you're not working? I am currently working, but I have no idea where the food market is. There are some people getting paid to help you. They can, and they'll help you right there. Why are you drinking alcohol at work? I'm not. Just tell me where the food market is, and I'll leave you alone. I don't know if it's that hard to understand, but I can't help you. So I use my radio to call someone who can. And the staff member arrives quickly. Now, before the staff member can say anything, she points at me and says, I want to speak to her manager. Okay, let's all cool down a bit. What's the problem with Lena? The manager! I'm really sorry, the staff member says, but I can't help you if you shout at me. I don't want to call her manager for unimportant stuff. He has better stuff to do. She was then able to steal one of my radios while the staff member tried to calm her down. She screams into the radio, I want to see the manager of Lena. A minute later, we finally stop her, but can see that she tried to destroy the radio by throwing it into a cup of beer. We grabbed her and called security. After 5 minutes, my manager arrives. As I previously explained, the only ones above me are the organizers and the police. So there's a girl screaming on the floor while getting zip-tied by 2 young police officers right next to the boss of the festival, the staff member, and me. Now, I was able to decide what should happen with the girl, so I decided that she would get her ticket revoked as long as I want. So she had to stay on the campsite exactly until the headliner of that day finished. The day after the whole thing, everyone involved was allowed to drink exactly 1 beer. So I went to my friends the next day, together with the police officers and the shift leader, to drink our beer and play some cards. It was probably the nicest afternoon at work I've ever had. The whole weekend was perfect. All the devices needed for a smooth weekend worked. The girl was the only problem I had. You know, it's nice they allowed you to drink a beer during work hours. And our second story. I was fired from Walmart twice in 1 week. So this is a pretty interesting story from back in the late 90s. Because of the situation, this will be a tad on the long side. Grab a snack. It should be enjoyable. Back then, I was working for a mom-and-pop pizza shop that was open until 1:30 a.m. on the weekends. We were generally busy from dinner time until we closed. Once the restaurant closed, it'd usually take an hour and a half to do dishes and clean up the store. By that time, it was too late to go to a bar to wind down from working at such a hectic pace all night. Generally, we'd just go hang out at the local Walmart. Back then, most Walmart stores weren't open 24 hours. However, we did have one in the city that stayed open all night. By the way, I've never worked for Walmart. Karen is the crazy old lady here. Me is me. MM is my manager from the restaurant. She's actually the owner's wife. And WM is Walmart manager. LPO would be loss prevention manager. His name was Dick. Since I worked at a small pizza place, we didn't have uniforms. We generally just wore jeans and dark-colored t-shirts. Now, this particular night, I was wearing a blue Milwaukee Brewers shirt. I was walking around with a hand basket and would occasionally pick up items customers left around the store and put them where they go. A Karen saw me doing this, so I'm guessing that's why she approached me. At the time, I'm in the food section looking for something to make for dinner because I'm off work the next day and have my mom and stepdad coming over for dinner. I'll admit I was extremely rude because we were extremely busy that night and shorthanded to boot. I delivered around 60 orders in about 9 hours. A normal shift, we'd averaged 35 or 40. Plus, to make me even more PO'd, I'd gotten speeding tickets and 2 parking tickets on that shift. Karen, tapping me on the shoulder. I can't find large garbage bags. I don't respond. She taps me again. I can't find large garbage bags. Again, no response. She raises her voice. I can't find large garbage bags. I turn to look at her and say, I'm sorry, was that a question? Don't be a smart butt. She used a different word. That's the problem with your generation. You have no respect. Where are the really large garbage bags? Well, they don't keep those in the food area. They're probably on the wall over there. And I point at the far side of the store. Maybe by the clearance area. Well, don't just stand there. Go get them for me. I'm too tired to walk across the store. Now look at me. If you want them, you can go get them. I'm not walking across the store for you. She stands there with her mouth open for a moment. Then, how dare you speak to me like that? I'll have you fired, you insolent brat. Do your worst, you sucking witch. Actually, I used another couple words that rhyme with these. Bye-bye. I then turn and start walking away. Before I get 10 feet, though, she latched onto my arm and wouldn't let go and started calling for a manager. About 30 seconds later, my manager rounds the corner. What's going on here? She says. Are you the manager of this rude boy? As a matter of fact, I am. This boy is extremely rude and refused to help me get garbage bags. I demand he be fired. She has a twinkle in her eye and is obviously trying to hold in her laughter. Robert, what do you have to say for yourself? She has a big sadistic grin on her face. I stammer, but I... In a stern voice, she says, forget it. I'm tired of looking at you and hearing your excuses. Consider yourself fired and get the hell out of the store. Don't come back. We'll mail your things and your check. She then turns to face the old lady. Was that good enough? Us ladies need to stick together. As I was walking away, I didn't hear what Karen had to say. Later that morning, my manager called and told me the old lady was quite gleeful and invited her out to breakfast when she got off work. She declined, but reminded me that she only fired me from Walmart. I laughed and told her I'd see her the next night. So a few days later, I was back at Walmart after work, and of course, my luck had me run into the Karen again. This time I was wearing a blue button-down shirt like their managers wore. Upon seeing me, she turns and beelines for the front. About 5 minutes later, she returns with a real store manager who usually wasn't there that early. I was actually helping another customer get an item off a shelf because there were no workers in the area, and I was tall enough to reach the top of the rack. After that customer left, the manager and Karen approached me. The Walmart manager placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "Excuse me, but this lady says you were extremely rude and swore at her. Is this true? And why are you not in proper uniform? Employees are not allowed to wear manager uniforms. And where's your name tag?" "Yeah, I called her a sucking witch." See above comment. "And I'll wear whatever I want." You can't talk to customers like that. As the head of this store, you definitely won't talk to me like that. "I'll talk however I please. You can't tell me how to talk." He then speaks into his little walkie-talkie. A moment later, one of their loss prevention officers rounds the corner. "Take this employee to the back to collect his things. He no longer works here." The loss prevention officer says to the manager, "I don't think that's a good idea, sir." "Why not, Richard?" "Well, he doesn't work here. He just comes in here 3 or 4 nights a week and walks around. Probably spends $20 to $30 each time." The manager looks at me and asks, "You don't work here?" I pull my name badge from the pizza place out of my pocket. "Nope, I deliver pizzas." He then rubs his forehead for a few minutes and says, "Sorry for the inconvenience. Please don't swear at other customers." "Well, since I was fired twice this week, do I get severance pay?" The manager then turns and walks away, As he does, we can clearly hear him say, "Only at Walmart." Karen just gives me a look of hatred and walks away. By the way, I never ran into her again at Walmart. The loss prevention officer says, "Have a good morning, sir," and turns and walks away. And finally, our third story. Customer at Subway wants to speak to the manager. I worked at a Subway that didn't have any authority or managers, just a couple of minimum wage base level workers. I don't remember what this particular customer was mad about, but she was arguing with me and didn't like the answer I gave her. She asked to speak to the manager, and there not being a manager, I decided to promote myself on the spot and replied with, "Manager speaking, how can I help you?" This didn't make her happy because she realized she was not going to get a different answer and asked for a phone number to call. The owner had specifically told us never to give a cell number to customers, so I gave her the store number. She gives me a crap-eating grin, thinking about how much trouble she's about to get me in, when the phone behind me starts to ring. I will never forget the face she gave me as I answer the phone, look her in the eyes, and ask, "How can I help you?" I would have loved to have been there to see the crap-eating grin wiped off her smug face as she realized she wasn't going to be able to get her way or get you in trouble. Wonderful story. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.